Hey guys, welcome back to Token Tech. Today I want to talk to you about what I've been doing the past couple of days and kind of why I haven't been releasing too many videos. So as you can see, I'm no longer on Windows. That's what I've been working on the past couple of days. I've been kind of transferring myself over onto Linux. Now this is Ubuntu, which is a very noob-friendly version of Linux, which is why I picked it because I don't really know much about Linux. And this is going to be my kind of experiment into Linux. Now, why did I switch away from Windows? Well, Windows has been really unstable for me really since I got it. I don't know why, but I've had really bad luck with Windows, and more recently, it's been even worse. I've been having crashes and blue screens of death and software just not working properly, the start button breaking, the search button breaking, the restart button breaking, the shutdown button breaking, and just so many bugs and so much instability that I basically couldn't really use my computer all that much. And it was frustrating me. It was frustrating my friends when I would try to play games with them and I'd crash right in the middle of a match or so. And I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So it pushed me to finally install Linux on my desktop. The process was actually very simple and very easy. I did run into one little hiccup, which I believe is because I'm using an NVMe SSD, where the latest version of Ubuntu just couldn't write to it. Same thing with Pop! OS, and same thing with even like Manjaro and stuff like that. Other distros are having issues. So what I had to do was go to an older version of Ubuntu and then upgrade from there to the newest version. But once I did that, everything works perfectly fine out of the box, just the way it should. Now, my friend didn't run into that issue, and he's running a SATA-based SSD, and he just installed the latest version and had no issues whatsoever. Now, in the past maybe 4 or 5 days I've been using Linux, I've had no instability from the operating system itself. The only places where I might see something weird happen when I'm trying to do something that's a little bit not out of the box. I'll put it that way. Okay, so my experience has been great. And to be honest, I don't know why more people don't use Linux, especially for basic computing. Linux is much lighter weight than Windows is and works much better on weaker and older hardware. So all those cheap laptops that people buy for like $200 that run like garbage because Windows is so bloated probably would run a bit better if they were using a version of Linux, especially a version of Linux designed to be even lighter weight for weaker hardware. I really think so because you can get all the different web browsers on Linux. I'm using Chrome, but you can use Firefox or whatever you want. You can do all this stuff online. You can do word processing. You can do basically everything you'd want to do in basic computing right here on Linux. Now, the big thing that we are concerned about in our community is gaming, because that's what we do. That's our hobby. That's our pastime. That's why we build computers for the most part, is to game. And gaming on Linux hasn't always been the greatest for a multitude of different reasons. Now, recently, within the past year, things have changed a lot. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Steam's Proton tool, which allows you to run Windows-based games in Linux. It's a compatibility layer. And if you go into your settings, you can see here you can have them checked off. Now, this check will let you run games that are whitelisted. If you have this bottom one checked off, you can run any game using Proton. Now, it's not guaranteed to work. Some of them do, some of them don't. I've had mixed results. And also, DRM and copyright protection and anti-cheat software get in the way as well. Now, once those issues get resolved with those companies, you'll see a whole bunch more games start to support Proton, which is fantastic because that's more games that you can have access to. However, something I noticed right away is how many games I already own that just supported Linux out of the box. Those are the ones that I have downloaded, like Stardew Valley, Civilization 6, Shovel Knight, right? These games all support Linux out of the box. And if you scroll up, games like, Shadow of Mordor, Metro Last Light, Don't Starve Together, Borderlands 2, and even games like Doom and Dark Souls 3 through Proton, they're whitelisted. They work through Proton. Oh, sorry, that's Darkness 2. Dark Souls 3, they work just fine through Proton. Fantastic. And games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I have right here, will be coming to Linux later this year. So in just a couple months, we'll have this as a native Linux game. meaning out of the box it'll work, no workarounds, nothing. It'll just work in Linux. That's fantastic in my opinion. Now that's all great, but what about games that don't support, that aren't on Steam? And that's where LootRIS comes in. Now LootRIS you can download usually through your software manager, and you can use this and use their instructions to get Vulkan drivers and DXVK and Wine and all that stuff working. And basically what this does is it makes it very easy, especially for someone like me who's a total noob, to get Windows programs, basically games, working in Linux. So the big one here is Overwatch, which does work most of the time. I do run into a little bit of a bug here and there where it'll just load to a black screen and I'll have to kind of restart my computer. But I'd rather it do that before I'm getting into the game than crash in the middle of the game. And also, that's the only bug I've encountered so far in Linux. And that's because I'm trying to run a Windows game in Linux. Now, there might be a workaround that I'm unaware of because I really haven't done any research into it. So take that with a grain of salt. Some people haven't had any issues. That's what I've run into. And it might be because I'm using an NVIDIA graphics card, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. Things like the Epic Store, so I can go claim those free games. I don't buy anything on here, but I do get the free games. And GOG as well, so I can download my GOG games. So this all works. I'll show you with the Epic Store. So we'll go ahead and hit play. It'll launch it from here. You'll see it loads up just like it does on Windows. Right? It has everything pre-done from the community. So LootRIS is a community driven, and so the more popular something is, the more likely it is to have a setup for it. And as you can see here, I do have Fez pre-installed on my computer. I already installed this. So let's go ahead and close the launcher. And if I go ahead, let me just double check something here. Okay, cool. So if I go ahead into my game storage, we can go ahead to Fez, and this is the Windows version, as you can see, and this is going to run with Wine. And here we go. We have a Windows version of a game running, and it was fairly simple. I didn't have to do really any setup. Wine is kind of taking care of everything, and LootRIS is taking care of everything for me. So let's go ahead and just close that, because we're not going to play that right now. So in my experience, Linux gaming is pretty good. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's kind of a trial and error. You got to go in there and try things out and see what works and what doesn't work. And for me, the games I like playing work just fine, and some of them are even natively supported in Linux. So for me, I really haven't noticed any difference at all coming from Windows. I have a more stable system. It's easier to use. I find it more interesting, and this is a tinkerer's dream. Right? If you like getting into your system and messing with things and adjusting settings and hacking away at your system, modding different things, this is taking it to the next level, because now you can do that with your software, with your operating system. It's all open source. It's all free. You can get in there and adjust it and mix it up on your own. Or someone else in the community already has done it, and you can get it from them. It's really awesome. I can't wait to dive even deeper into Linux. This is what I've been up to the past couple days. This is why I've been struggling to make videos the past couple weeks, because Windows has been so bad. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Is Linux something you're interested in? Is it something you're willing to try out? What do you think about me making the switch? Anything you have to mention about Linux. I really do recommend it. Give it a shot through a virtual machine or through like a laptop or something you might have lying around if you don't want to do it on your main system. You can also dual boot or just run virtual machines if you really need to use Windows for something. But anyways, I really think more people should give Linux a shot. I've been enjoying it so far. Let me know what you think down below.